Cloudspike's Crucible Coach.
Well, hello there, YouTube. You're looking good. Welcome to episode 2 of Corporal Cloudspike's Crucible Coach. Today's just going to be a real short episode. I'm just throwing out 5 basic tips that'll kind of help you out in the Crucible. Some of it may be stuff you already know. Like I said, I'm nothing special. I am very slightly above average at best. But there are people out there that may not know some of the things I'm going to talk about. I want to start off with a few mobility tips. The first one I'm going to talk about is sliding. It's not just for shotgunning anymore. Sliding is actually a very effective way of getting away from your enemies, dropping your head down so you're less likely to get headshot, especially if you're crossing a sniper alley or any sort of place where you're likely to get picked off. I can probably count on one hand the number of times that I've been sniped while sliding. In addition to that, you're going to want to work on learning how to double slide, chaining your slides back to back, or even you can do 3 in a row sometimes. And the clip you see here, you'll see me practicing this some in the tower. And it's just a good ability to have, to be able to chain those slides together, keep your head down, and get to cover if you're damaged and all that kind of stuff. So really work on your slides, especially working on the double slide. The way that you do this is when you're sprinting, you hit whatever button you have assigned for slide, then you let off the sprint button, and while you're sliding, reapply the sprint button, and then when you come back up, instead of going immediately into a crouch like you normally would after sliding, you'll be going straight back into sprinting, which can allow you to do another slide very quickly after that. It can be kind of hard to get used to, but it's a very good skill to have, especially, like I said, if you're trying to avoid sniper fire, get down off of a platform. It's a very good evasive maneuver. The next move I want to talk about is one I like to call the elevator. And this is for when you're behind cover, you've been wounded, and maybe you just run around a corner, you might have pursuers, and you just jump up into the air, utilizing that vertical space. And it's better on Titans and Warlocks with the extended jump, not really good on Hunters or if you have Blink equipped, but still useful. In fact, in the clip here, you see me doing this on the Hunter. And what I do is, I just jump up in the air, and this avoids getting hit by grenades, and also brings you so you're not in the line of sight of whatever the choke point is. If someone pushes through that choke point, you're going to be above them and in a prime position to get the drop on them with a shotgun or fusion rifle or sidearm, or just a quick melee grenade combo, any of those sorts of things. So again, I call it the elevator. I'm sure lots of other people have names for it. Lots of people use this technique. But just jump up in the air and confuse the enemy when you come back down on top of them. Avoid the line of sight of the choke point, so you're not getting sniped at, getting hit with other fire, and not getting grenaded. So it's just a little evasive maneuver. The next thing I want to mention, and it pains me a little bit to mention it, but I know there may be some new players, especially with an expansion on the horizon for Destiny, and some things that people might not be aware of. In fact, recently I ran a raid with some folks that, needless to say, they needed to hear this tip. Anyway, when you're jumping in the air, you can ADS to cancel that jump. And again, if you've played Destiny for any amount of time, this is second nature. You do this all the time. If you're a Warlock or a Titan and you're kind of floofing about, and you ADS to cancel the jump, make sure you're landing on the platforms. And it's a very necessary skill. And if you didn't know that, just don't let anyone know you didn't know it, and go from there. You're going to find your gameplay is going to improve a lot once you start taking advantage of that. The next 2 things I'm going to talk about are just completely random tips that I don't think would fit into any other video. The first one is that there are actually some things in Crucible maps that you can get through walls. Here, and the footage I'm going to be showing, is on the Cauldron, and you can actually capture the B point from beneath the bridge. It doesn't take the enemy long to figure out what's going on, but you can capture it from behind cover, And if you have buddies up on top that are also capturing it and they get all finished off, you might be able to finish off the capture there with just the last few, points to go on it. In addition to this, there are several places and several maps that you can get the heavy ammo through the walls. One of these is obvious on Black Shield. If you are by the wall in the inside heavy area and you're not actually on the crate, but you're right next to up against the wall, you can still go around it and get the brick, which is nice because then you can defend against people rushing in to super the heavy. True, you might end up getting supered yourself, but then they've blown the super on one person and your team still gets the heavy. On Rusted Lands and the kind of backfield heavy, you can actually get the heavy brick while upstairs, up above where the heavy is there. And I don't think I have a clip to show this. I may go back later and make a second video about all the maps where you can capture heavy through the walls. Now you will have to physically go and pick up the brick, but it'll drop for you and you will be able to do that. So just be aware of those kind of things when you're in Crucible maps, that there are some things that you might be able to still get through the walls if you're close enough to them. The last thing I want to mention is not really super useful for Crucible or anything in general, but it's kind of a fun fact, and it can be something you might look for when you're practicing aiming. And that is that there's actually a small, tiny red dot that pops up on the screen when you have a headshot lined up. Now, most reticles have a red dot in them anyway, and so it's very hard to see. It's easily seen when you were using a shotgun and invisible as a hunter. In the footage that you'll see here, you can see me point the shotgun and you see the little red dot pop up when I have the headshot lined up. And again, not super useful in the heat of combat, but what it is useful for is if you go back and watch your gameplay footage, you can see, oh, I did have that headshot lined up and I didn't get credit for it. Or more likely, oh, I wasn't quite on a headshot, that was a body shot, shame on me. And it's just a fun thing to know. I haven't really heard anyone else ever mention it, so there you go, red dot, headshot. That's all I have for you today. Like I said, it's just a real short, quick video. This is Corporal Cloudspike signing out. Go out and save the world.